Hey, y'all, today on As Good As It Gets, the podcast, we come to the thrilling conclusion of the beginning.
All while having a whole lot of fun. That sounds like someone died.
Cue the music.
The beginning is now over. If that was just the beginning, oh my gosh.
Hi, and welcome back to As Good As It Gets, the podcast, Season 1, Episode 9.
I'm Cris.
And I'm Mikey.
And I forgot my name. Oh, welcome to our virtual kitchen table. For those of you that have been binge listening, or now if you're also, if the YouTube channel has caught up with this, you might be binge watching as well. We have had a marathon weekend, snowed in Indiana.
Yep. It's we're recording this on a holiday weekend, New Year's weekend, and we recorded all these episodes, probably 2 or 3 at a time, staying up till way late in the wee hours.
Well, because
kind of like we used to.
Because right when we got back from Texas and the mid 70-degree weather, Indiana decided to forget what degrees were and dropped us below zero.
Yeah.
So we have been barely venturing out, and so Mikey's microphones came that he's so proud of. So we decided...
Thank you, patrons over at patreon.com/recipes@crock.
So he decided we would push through and we would go ahead and do our full season of our story.
Yep.
So we are at the conclusion of this, and we're going to talk about where we are now, and then also talk a little bit about maybe the future of where this podcast is headed, because we're not going to just keep talking about the past.
No, it's not about us anymore. It's about you. You see, to recap what we talked about, we got born. We grew up, we found each other, we got married, went through the ups and downs like everybody does through marriage. We got ourselves a beautiful little girl. We had great jobs. We quit those jobs and made this our job, and now here we are as we start what we like to call the Great GOODe Adventure. And that's where we're at now.
Yes.
This is where it's been us three and the dog for a while, but now it's time to bring you guys on board. You see, we are hooked on our Crock Posse. We love our Crock Posse, and we want to grow our Crock Posse because... it started out, and I think anybody that starts out a YouTube channel or a podcast or a blog, and you gain momentum because you gain readers, subscribers, viewers, whatever you want to call it, it's exciting because it's like, ooh, people are watching, people are listening, people are reading, people are following. You know, it's still weird, and it's totally cool. It's totally cool if, like, I got a notification today that somebody is following me on my public posts on Facebook. Mm-hmm. It's still kind of weird because I'm like, why would you want to follow me? And I'm like, oh well, yeah, I get it. You know, because the whole YouTube thing.
He shares things on. You share things on your public profile.
I do. I want to share things for folks to see, fun stuff, inspirational stuff, hilarious stuff usually, or something dumb that I've done. Mm-hmm. But at the beginning, it was, ooh, I'm getting subscribers. Ooh, and when it comes to the blog, we're getting more readers. We definitely want to see how many people come and follow the site and things like that. There's, that's the business side of things. You got to make sure that the viewership is up. And I want more subscribers, of course, because I want the channel to grow. That's another part of the job that we've made. Sure. But it goes so much deeper than that because we have formed relationships with these people, people.
Yes, our Crock Posse became a very important part of not only our business, but also our lives. When we launched the YouTube channel, and once we finally figured out kind of what we were doing over there, and people started regularly tuning in and regularly commenting and sending emails and those kinds of things, and that kind of group of viewers / readers developed, it added a whole new layer of richness to what we were doing. Like, I would have people write me all the time for the website, and that has always been a special relationship. But I think as we started doing things on the YouTube channel, it added a whole new level of connection, because like people could look at what was going on and not just read it, I guess. I don't know. It's just a different format. And it just started to form really cool relationships with our audience. And then that period of time where we could do lots of lives, because that was kind of the only thing that we could do.
Right.
We really formed some really cool, like, relationships that way. Yeah. And then, of course, we have great relationships with our patrons over on Patreon. And so we've just kind of gotten to know a lot of our Crock Posse, and it's become a lot of fun to interact with them.
It's cool. I mean, and I love seeing new names that they might have been a subscriber for a while. I don't know.
Right.
But then they all of a sudden, you know, we start interacting with them more. They start interacting with us more.
Right.
Those are fun. And then, of course, you've got the and I don't want to say regulars, but they are. I mean, they're the ones who are always coming in, chiming in, and it's positive. Even if they don't care for something, you know, like, I can't eat broccoli.
Right.
Okay. She goes, you know, we have some subscribers that are, you know, I don't really care for insert blank.
Right.
But it looks like you did a really good job with this recipe.
Right. Well, and people don't have to like everything, but
absolutely not.
This is we're kind of going off on a tangent. Anyhow, that kind of has been a piece of us trying new things on the channel and all that kind of stuff. And so,
but what I'm getting at is the subscribers that we call the Crock Posse. We started forming this relationship. You know, they came, they subscribed, and then we started to form a relationship with them, and we got more interactive with them, and we were trying to comment back as much as possible. It'll never happen. We'll never be able to do every comment because there's so many. But you know, we try to interact with them, and you get the ones who are always, you know, giving positive feedback back, whether it's they don't like it, I wish you try something different, or, you know, hey, you know, this dish is really good, or that story really moved me. But then it goes even beyond that. When I watch the Crock Posse react with each other,
support each other,
it really, that's when, to me, that's when it made it a community. It was more than just a list of subscribers who have joined the channel.
Right.
You have a community that supports us,
right,
whether by viewing, by financially supporting over on Patreon, or, you know, they comment, they're joining us in the lives and joining in. It always thrills me when I hear, I'm singing along with you. I sing really bad by myself, but I'm singing along. And I love that. And then, but then beyond that, you know, we've got folks that they'll say something like when we do the Church Song Sunday. And then somebody would say, you know, I'm having a real hard time right now with whatever it is. And then before I can respond, because I'm doing the live, you're, you know, even sometimes before you can respond and you're holding up the chat, somebody else from the Crock Posse is like, hey, I'm praying for you. Right. You know, hey, you know, we're here for you. We love you. Or if it's something good that happened, hey, congratulations. We're so happy for you. To watch that interaction and that community that we started, that's when it feels good. That's when it's like, okay, we've gone beyond, you know, in social media where, okay, we've got our followers and I'm trying to make my numbers bigger, to we have this community that we're growing close with. We're becoming friends with these folks. And that's like a small... Well, it's like we're going to have to build a bigger table, a bigger virtual table.
Oh, that's why it's virtual, because everyone
can pull up a chair. It's as big as you want it to be. Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us with this. But here we are. Yeah. We're in the now. We are in the present.
Yes.
And we're going to move forward. And this 9th episode is dedicated to where we go from here.
Right.
Where are we headed?
Yes. Well, I think we talked a little bit about our crazy, you quit your job, and then we very quickly decided that the chains were off and we're going to start taking more mobile adventures and those kinds of things. And we're not really sure where all that's going to lead, other than we know that it's something that we enjoy.
We know where we've been.
We know it's something that has a lot of potential for the YouTube channel and the website, and just to bring you guys along with us on what we dub the Great GOODe Adventure.
And we're already getting comments of, oh my gosh, it looks like so much fun. Somebody else had commented just, I think it was today or yesterday, said, I'm vicariously going on vacation with you guys.
Well, and and to be fair, while it may appear vacation like, we are we're still, I don't feel like it's been a vacation. I don't know about you. We're just mobile is more or less what's going on.
This is the best part of this job. You know,
Right.
you're not tied to a desk. You're not tied. You're not chained. You're not
Right.
I mean, we have obligation. We have
Right.
obligation to our subscribers. We've got obligation to our patrons. You know, we've got bills we've got to pay. You know, there's maintenance fee. You know, maintenance of like the trailer and
Right.
and the truck and things like that. You got to feed the kid.
Especially when, oh my gosh, we screw something up.
And that's going to happen more often. And we'll talk more about that as we get into it, like what happens when you buy a trailer and you break it right off the bat. Did that. But when you love it and you love your coworkers, and I absolutely adore you, and so I can be around you 24/7, and I'll get into that's another side topic in a minute, but it goes along with this. But yeah, it looks like we're on vacation. It looks like we're just having a lot of fun, and that's the way work should be, I think, because I want to go there.
Right.
If our job, our passion was, I don't know, making toilet paper, but we made it so much fun, and it was an absolute blast, and we loved it so much we did it together.
Interesting example, dear.
Well, it goes back to what Steve Harvey said. No matter what it is, if you have a massive passion for what you do, then it should look like it's not work.
Right.
When people look at it from the outside, they go, "Oh, well, they're just sloughing off. They're having too much." And how many times you hear this? You know, when people are talking about work, "Oh, you're having too much fun." Mm-hmm. You know what? Work should be fun because
I can remember my first job back when I was a job coach. My dad said, and at that point in my life, that was the job that I was meant to do.
Right.
I was passionate about it. I loved it.
You were good at it.
I was good at it. And I completely was overwhelmed with the idea that I got to do that and somebody paid me for it. And I can remember my dad actually saying to me at one point and going, "You know what? You would pay them to get to do that job."
Yeah. And
I think that that's always been, no matter what I've done in life. Now, we can say it's fun and all those kinds of things. There are always other sides to the coin.
Right.
I mean, like I get to cook with crock pots to make a living, mm-hmm. and Aunt Lou gets to do that. But there's also not fun parts of all of that too. And I mean, and then there's times where you have to cook even when you're not feeling like cooking. Like, I'd rather go out for dinner, but nope, we got to do it.
And when it comes to stuff on the channel, you're gonna see the fun stuff. You're not gonna see the
and we have shared a few of the we share some of the other parts of it, but for the most part, we're trying to give you guys our best. And so ultimately, I guess my point is that there should be more good than bad.
Right. Well,
and when that balance is out of whack, like it was with your previous job, then that's always been kind of the signal. Okay, maybe we should look.
When the only thing you can look forward to is the paycheck or the vacation.
Yeah, then it's that. Yeah, it can't be. It's got to be about something else. And I think that coming back to the Crock Posse, I think the Crock Posse breathed a new life into what we were already doing, because we love writing on the site and doing all the social media, but the Crock Posse kind of gave us this whole new community of people that we were getting to know. It wasn't just a one-way conversation. It wasn't just it wasn't just us being what I sometimes dub the Butterball hotline, where people are like sending you questions and you're just responding and answering with no real connection in a lot of ways. Right. Now, we had readers, and we still do have readers that we do have connections with through. Mm-hmm. I don't mean to diminish that at all, but I think the YouTube channel just kind of helped solidify that and grow that a little bit.
When you do a channel, And when you're speaking directly to folks through a camera or through a microphone with now this podcast, but especially like on YouTube or somewhere where they can actually put a face to the voice,
right,
and put it all together, you're trying to get to know somebody better. And
and I think we are also consumers of YouTube, and so we know how we feel when we regularly get to see the little things from the people that we love to watch. And so I think that that's kind of all a piece of it. It's a totally different animal, so to speak, than running a website. And even like being on Facebook and being on Instagram and all those places kind of have their own kind of culture, but YouTube is kind of like a whole different ball of wax for creators. Kind of like podcasting is a little. I mean, we're learning and making all kinds of mistakes, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just learned today about sound and mixing, and that I've been mixing it too high, and hopefully I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that when we do the upload here after we get
spending
done,
all this time,
we've got this episode and a bonus episode coming up to do, and then I've got to render it, put it all together, and package it up and send it off, and hopefully I've done it right to where it, one, sounds good in your ears, and two, doesn't cost us $1 bajillion because of what's called bit rate. I'm learning.
Or that we didn't just spend all these hours, like lots of hours.
Well, just almost 12 hours recording. Yeah.
Recording something that we can't use.
Hopefully you're listening to this going, well, it sounds okay to me.
Yeah.
But going back to the community, and there's just been so many good things that have come out of this, and I love comments that folks share that goes beyond, I love the comments was like, hey, that looks really good. But when somebody says, hey, I tried this, then, it's like, ooh, and they liked it. If they tried it and they didn't like it, man, I'm sorry. I get it. Tastes aren't the same. I hope the next one goes better. Hope you come back for something else that, we know is going to be good. But then when I got a comment a couple days ago from somebody who's like, hey, I tried your Mississippi chicken and it was like the bomb. It was so good. And then they commented back again today. And in fact, I just got this comment. It's from Dazed and Confused 26 on YouTube. They said, shared the Mississippi chicken video with the guys at work. You've changed our overtime days forever. No more pizza. We will now have Crock Pot Saturdays. I think we've designated a new holiday.
There we go. And hey, P.S. if you want those pizza flavors, we have all kinds of Crock Pot pizza.
So there's Crock Pot pizza, brother. Don't be hating on the pizza, because there's ways to have it, but
yes.
That's the kind of stuff that I love. Or the hey, I'm. There's one lady that she writes all our recipes down and makes her own little cookbook out of the recipes that we do, and how it helps her, that she's not as mobile as she wants to be. She's an older lady and she's in bed a lot because she's not in the best of health, but then she gets to watch us. So it's like she could still be a part of somebody's lives, and they are. Right. And that's where we're at with what we're doing. It goes beyond just food or travel or whatever, that we hopefully are enriching people's lives. Right. Through what we say, what we do. We're going to screw up. I mean, for anybody that's listening to this who hasn't really paid attention to the past few episodes, or that are just now tuning in, I've got a confession for everybody. I'm not perfect.
We're not perfect.
Well, I can't judge you like that.
Oh, goodness gracious. No.
We're going to do our best.
Right. And so I think that's kind of why you were especially insistent that we kind of tell the whole story from the beginning and all of that as we start out this podcast and as we head towards the future.
So where we've been was Southern Illinois, and we're talking about where we've been as far as like in our travels. Yes, we buy the RV and we go to Southern Illinois for a week, hang out with your mom and dad, which was a blast. Right. And if y'all haven't seen that, there's a whole YouTube series of videos.
We'll put the playlist down below.
Yeah, we'll put the playlist down where we went to the Shawnee National Forest in Southern Illinois.
And that's where we were kind of getting our legs, figuring out, like, how does the website work? How does the YouTube channel work?
How do I use a drone?
Yeah.
Things like that.
That's scary.
How do I not crash a drone?
Literally watching money fly around in the air and try not to lose it. Like it would be the equivalent of attaching money to in an envelope and tying it to a helium balloon and then run around and try and catch it and pull it back down. I mean, that's how it feels. It's like, don't break it.
When we first started the idea of a drone, because we'd watched, especially the travelers.
We'd watch all kinds of different travel, but no, not just travel, but also lifestyle. But we just thought we knew a lot of the places that we wanted to go were beautiful from an aerial view.
Yeah.
And it just is another way to tell a story. And we found a really good deal on one. Thank goodness. But then, like literally the first 3 times you flew it, crashed it into trees.
So then we found out that you can buy these little things that protect the propellers so that they don't break. Because I broke a couple propellers. But he doesn't
like it. He doesn't like the training wheels.
Well, when you turn the drone in certain ways, you can actually see the training wheels in the shot, and I don't want to show. So anyway, I practiced with it enough to where I think I can do it, hopefully without crashing. And I took Miss Ad on a fishing trip to, was it Millstone Dam?
I'm not sure.
There was
what it was called.
There was an old dam, and it was on a back road, off of a back road. And I took Addie fishing, and I'm like, I got to try this drone out. So the first thing I do is fly it over this like 400-acre lake. And the whole time I'm flying, I'm like, one thing happens and this thing goes in the water, Cris is going to kill me.
Well, I think that's how we feel, or you feel every time you go and use it, because you always push the envelope. And one of these days you're going to push the envelope a little too far.
Wow, sounds like a Top Gun script.
Is what we are, and what you're trying to.
My mind's writing checks that my body can't cash.
So anyhow, I'm sure there'll be an upcoming video episode, something of when the drone meets its demise and what happens to Mikey as a result.
Yeah. Hey, now, just to defend myself in this. There are professional YouTubers out there who have are on drone 3, 4.
Now here, this 5. Is where what would your mama say? Your mama would say,
"You're not those other YouTubers."
Exactly. And if they jumped off a cliff, would you? And don't push your drone off the cliff either.
Well, are they getting good footage and views?
Oh my word. So anyhow, yeah, we touched on this last episode. We fell in love with the possibilities of everything that we could do when we went to Illinois. And so then very quickly decided.
Well, we said, okay, we're going to, because we bought this trailer, it's the fall, and then we buy this RV, and it gets cold in Indiana. Like right now, I think it finally got above 0 today. I think it was going to get up to 11 and then drop right back down into the negatives.
Yeah,
Mother Nature started this year negative,
nice.
And it's not a good way to start the year.
It's not nice, Indiana.
But we buy this RV and we're like, we got to take a trip with it before we go and winterize it. So we take a trip. We go to Southern Illinois, have a great week, and on our way back, we're like, I remember you telling me, because the plan was that this coming summer we were going to take a month-long trip, which at the time to us was like, that's such a giant journey, a whole month gone, and how in the world will we ever fit all the, how will we get footage for that much for a month? It's like we could probably do it all in a week.
Oh my goodness.
But we leave Southern Illinois, we're on our way back, and I remember you telling me, saying, I can't wait till summer to do this. And I'm thinking, oh man, I can't wait either, honey. And she's like, no, I mean, let me rephrase this. I'm not going to wait till next summer to do this. We need to go again.
Yes.
And so that's when we discussed
and we need it. Well, we realized when we were in Illinois that a week isn't a whole lot of time to really
No, it's not.
Do what we need to do from a standpoint of see things in the local area to bring the audience along.
Yeah.
Also to do our regular jobs, which is a big part of having it with us. So in order to do everything we needed to do, a week was like
a day. Might as well have been a day.
It was
a day
very,
trip, yeah.
It was a very minimal amount of time. And so we needed to start rethinking. And so we quickly decided on the way heading home on that drive that we thought we would probably head towards Texas.
Yep.
For a month-long trip to kind of explore. And we were even kind of like, well, if we don't like, or if we can't find what we're looking for to share and all that kind of stuff, then we had an alternative route with that took us out of Texas that we were going to explore more and all that kind of stuff. But very quickly when we were in Texas, once we got to Texas, we realized that, oh wow, we could stay here for 2 months.
Yeah.
And
that started with when we went to Hot Springs.
Right.
We were there just for one night.
Yeah.
And it was because it was literally just a
we
pit
were
stop
so disappointed
to refresh, fill back up,
Right.
dump tanks, and then head to Texas. Because our whole mindset was Texas, but we'll try to find something on the way.
Right. We were planning on kind of like stopping through in some places, but then we realized, and I felt like we did get to explore some of Hot Springs, but nothing like what we could have. Like, we immediately said, oh my gosh, we are coming back here when we can plan for 2 or 3 days so that we can actually do a lot more.
Was it Dale was the guy's name that pulled up and was talking to us? He's like,
sure.
You're going to need more than a day here.
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah. They were. And it was just one of those things we were enjoying as we were going. And we're talking about it as the past. And if you're watching the YouTube channel, you're just seeing things just now that are happening. So it's like time warp. But but anyhow, no, we just realized time works very differently. Period. When it comes to
things are a lot
traveling.
It takes a lot longer to do things than, because I mean, it's not like you're just saying, oh, I'll just put on my shoes, jump in the car and go. No, you put on your shoes, you've got to get everything packed up to where you can compress the trailer back together, and then you've got,
secure everything.
You've got to secure everything, lock everything down. If you have anything in any of your tanks, you've got to, if you can, you need to dump it so you're lighter when you're going down the road.
Right.
Then there's the hitch and trying to figure out how to hitch it up right. And
right. So there were lots of pieces and all that kind of stuff. So we ended up right after Thanksgiving heading south.
Yep.
And having the time of our life and maintaining all the things that we needed to do for the website and keep things running and all of that. And also realizing, wow, the world is so big. Like,
and people aren't as mean as you think.
No, I think that's one of the things that, especially when you work on the internet, you get the best and the worst. A lot of times you get the most amazing people sending you the most amazing encouragement. And then you get the people who literally write you suck. Like, yep. I mean, I always laugh and think, everything wasn't always roses when I had jobs at other places, but like, seriously, I never had anybody walk up to me right to my face and say, you suck. Yeah. Or, I mean, I've had people say to me that they hope that I get cancer. I mean, it's like, it's happened. It's insane what people will say to you.
And that's the shield of the internet where you think you can get away with more.
Yeah, but anyhow, like people, like, when you work in an environment like that, and then, and you kind of I think in a lot of ways, our society can be kind of insulated where it's not as common to talk to strangers. Like, right. You go to the grocery store, at least where we live, and strangers don't really talk to each other a whole lot.
Right.
Well, they can.
I'm there.
Yeah. But my point is, when you start to go out to these places and you accidentally pull your 37-foot RV into a cul-de-sac and can't back out without the help of strangers. Yeah. Then you all of a sudden get to know people real well, yep. Or not get to know them, but get introduced to them really quickly.
Yes.
but it's not just that. It's the I can even remember us being in a grocery store. Was that San Antonio? Maybe we were in a grocery store, and Addie goes like right in front of somebody because somebody was helping somebody with something, and Addie's like, the people in Texas are just so nice. And so
they are.
And she said it like, and it was so humorous how, you know, it was just when you get out there and you're in strange places, you end up having to come out of your shell a little bit more. And then you end up realizing that the people out there, like in general, are just people, and they're the real, like a lot of people are really, really nice. And it just gives you a different perspective than maybe flipping on the news and all the
that's because
negative stuff that
people
you
being
see.
Nice doesn't sell unless it's Christmas time,
right?
You know, and so you're never gonna you're never gonna hear, well, you know, Bob went to the store today and he couldn't find the lemons, and this really nice lady said, oh, they're over there by the limes. You know, that's not going to make the news. But then when you want to go to the store and find lemons, you know, you're going to hopefully find the nice people.
It's also a lesson in life, because when you are a fish
lemons are a bad analogy. I don't know where that came from.
When you're a fish out of water constantly, like you don't have your comfort zone. When you don't know where you are, what you're doing, like, you know, and Google can only help you so much. Then you have to interact with strangers a lot more,
right?
And that is an awesome lesson, and I think it's an awesome lesson to be teaching our daughter, who is very personable in on her own, but I like seeing her like see people be nice to one another,
right?
like,
so that it's not such a big bad world.
Yes.
But we have to be careful with that too. On the other side of it is, you know, you know, what's the phrase? You know, I've never met a stranger. Well, sometimes you should keep people as strangers, you know.
Right. Well, and we had moments like that on the trip too, and I would say that's more or less. I mean, we are very, we like one of the discussions that we did have with Addie is, even though people do seem really, really nice, that doesn't mean that you just like totally let your guard down,
right,
kind of thing. And there was even one point in the trip where I was joking because I had seen a hat that said Mama Bear on it, and I almost purchased that hat, but I didn't. And right after that happened, we had an interaction with a salesperson at one of the places that we were at. And it wasn't really an interaction, and we weren't really even in their space, but they started hollering at, almost heckling a little bit, Addie instead of me or you. And I was very not happy about that situation.
Yeah.
Like, they were hollering for her. Like, an adult was hollering at my child.
Right. And it was when it was
standing next to me.
It was one of those, like, it was at a tourist trap to get you to...
trying to get her to come and to do the activity that they had, get us to buy tickets for something.
Get your mom and dad to bring you in and buy tickets to this whatever attraction
and
was.
I can fairly say that is not a good sales technique, at least for this family, because I don't care what they were selling, because I just did not like the fact that they were targeting my child. While I mean, they could have very easily hollered at me or you,
right? But
they start hollering at her, and I'm just like, what are you doing? But so yeah, there were moments like that too. Right. But anyhow.
But I mean, these kind of things for her, it's teaching her that the world is big, but it's not so big that you can't get out and enjoy it and experience it, explore it.
Right.
And I'm kind of teaching that lesson of myself too, because, you know, like I said, when we first started out, Florida was, Death Valley pretty much. You don't go there. And then we go to Florida and find out it's great. And now we've done that with Texas and Arkansas, and we're going to turn around and go back here in a little while and go out west again and go further and kind of get our toes a little deeper.
Right. Well, we're still in the planning session, but I think one of the things that this adventure has as we go forward is we have realized that this is going to be a normal part of how we do things.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that, we're putting a for sale sign in the front yard or anything like that.
Oh, no, I think, and I've learned that from some of the other YouTubers that, that's what their full-time everything is traveling. Well, I think it's good to have a home base, and
at least for now, that's where we're at.
Right. And by the time you read this, it might be a couple months down the road, and we've sold the house. And
we're not sure, but no, we've got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. But we do feel like this is a really great opportunity. It's a really cool thing, to kind of pull all of our worlds together, both the website and also and the YouTube channel. Yeah. And then we've gotten lots of feedback from folks that you guys have enjoyed the travel pieces. And so as we look forward for this podcast, we've set the foundation. We've kind of told you our story and laid it all out there. So now it's probably going to turn into a real hodgepodge of things for a little while.
Yeah. Here's the hectic part of it is, there's so many irons in the fire, and then the blog, the site recipes.crock.com is the main focus on everything, again, because that's our main bulk of the business. That's how we pay our bills for the most part, and that's how we finance our travels or whatever endeavor we've got. And then you've got the channel, which is supplementing that, and that's really helping to grow our audience. Now we've got this podcast. We've still got folks that are like, so when are you going to do a cookbook? Yeah, we wanna.
Yeah.
Here's my dream. You ready for this? Yes. This is my fantasy, if you will, for what we're doing, is that we do a cookbook, like a real live, put it in your hand, read it cookbook, flip pages cookbook. Mm-hmm. Now I think we'll probably do an ebook first or something. We will eventually do a cookbook. I know it. That's where we're headed at some point.
Right.
But my fantasy is that we have the cookbook out in stores or whatever, and we have signed copies in our RV, and we travel and we say, hey, y'all, we're going to be in Lincoln, Nebraska. Now, listen, we're not going to Lincoln, Nebraska right now. Maybe eventually someday. I don't know.
I'm betting Lincoln, Nebraska is really cold right now.
Yeah, we're not going to go there right now. Maybe some summer, later fall, whatever. It was an example.
Oh, okay.
But hey, and we announce it on the channel or the podcast where we say, hey, we're going to be in Lincoln, Nebraska on these couple days on our travels to wherever. And we're going to do a book signing. We'll be parking our RV out in front of the Walmart in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh my gosh, I don't know that Walmart would be okay with that.
But that's like my fantasy is then the Crock Posse comes to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Do meetups.
And we meet up. We got to meet a friend of ours, a member of the Crock Posse down in Texas, and I loved it.
Right.
It was kind of awkward, weird, because I think she thought that we were actually traveling through with the trailer, so she picked for us to meet her at a Buc-ee's. By the way, if y'all live in Texas,
we love Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's is amazing.
Yes.
If you own Buc-ee's, hey dude, good job. Good job, Buc-ee. If you don't know what a Buc-ee's is, go to Texas sometime. Or just Google it, but then go to one because it's
a fun destination.
It's awesome.
But yeah, we had a happy happenstance and was able to meet a Crock Posse member. And so, yeah, that's definitely on the horizon as we figure out what all this means. We're still figuring everything out.
Somehow I retrofit the RV to where these doors open up and these speakers slide out and we put on a concert. That'd be so cool. It'd be like a work week wind down live in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Again, Lincoln, Nebraska. This is
I don't know. That was just the town. Yeah, there's somebody in Lincoln, Nebraska right now going, woohoo! Come on down. Maybe someday.
We'll see what happens. We don't know, but definitely, if we do go down those routes, you guys will hear about it, of course, first, because there's no meetup without the Crock Posse.
Yeah, you got to know about it. Yeah.
So, anywho, but no, we like I said, we have realized that this is going to be more than just an occasional thing for us. And we also realized that at least our initial trip out west, when we say out west, I think we're talking more I don't know what the appropriate term for it would be. We weren't talking southwest. We were talking more central, west, and northwest.
Yeah.
But when we talk about that, we originally were like, 1 month, and now it's like
we did a month.
We are completely overwhelmed because we did a month
in Texas,
and had 3 locations
and barely scratched the surface.
Or actually technically 4, but we had 3 main locations and felt rushed. And we probably, if we didn't need to be back for the holidays, we would have probably stayed at least another 2 weeks.
I think, and again, it's because we're just learning how to do this. You know, there's some YouTubers out there that they don't stay in a spot for more than 2 or 3 days.
Well, but I also think that they're not, I mean, we're not doing what other people are doing.
Right. No. But that's, but we didn't know what to do, I think.
Right.
So we go down to Galveston and we booked a week there to begin with, just to kind of get our bearings, learn more about Texas, figure out what we want to do. And then
we made it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and so we booked that first week. Within the first 2 days, we know that we wanted to stay in Galveston longer than just a week, because it was on the beach. And I called my mom talking to her about Texas, and she's like, "What's it like?" I'm like, "It's its own little world. It's its own little." I mean, everybody talks about Texas is its own little country. Well, when you think about it, it kind of is. You've got your ocean, you know, through the Gulf, you know, the Gulf of Mexico down there. You've got deserts. You've got mountains. You've got hill country.
Right.
It's got it all. And we, like I said, we barely scratched the surface, but we parked there for a week. By day 2, and the weather was gorgeous. The weather was what,
right when we first
70s.
Got there. Yeah, but we realized because we had talked to the people at the visitor center that there was a lot of stuff there that we didn't even know was there to do, that we were wanting to do.
Yeah.
And then we were also using that as our home base to do things in Houston.
Yep.
And so we were kind of we felt like we had a good place. It was a wonderful, wonderful place to stay. And then the other wrench that got thrown into all of this is, the weather changed on us
right after we booked.
And so what ended up happening was we started realizing that when we were like planning out long-term our schedule, that we had to have another week, or we weren't going to be able to do all the things we wanted to do, because a lot of the things we wanted to do were outdoors.
Yeah.
And then it's just this realization of, if the weather doesn't cooperate with you, you can't go on the hike that you were planning on going on, or go to the place and like bring everybody along in the same way, because, you know, it just looks like a big water.
Freezing.
Yeah, it's freezing, or it's dreary.
Well, that's the first time they gotten snow down there in quite some time.
Yeah,
the first week was in the 70s.
We actually brought snow to Galveston, guys.
Yeah,
like,
we got yelled at. We did. They're like, "Oh, so you're the reason?" Because we booked for the second week. On day 2, we enjoyed the rest of that week. We did. We ran around. Addie and I got to eat out a couple of places together that were really good. We enjoyed the beach. We saw Moody Mansion and the Moody Gardens.
Yeah, we tried. We also realized that a lot of like planning, like if we had planned to do things on a vacation, or even from a professional standpoint to do something, that like plans when it came to particularly RVing, everything from what we were going to eat to like or prepare for the blog. Like if we were going to do something for the camper kitchen section of the website, and it involved grilling, and there was a monsoon outside,
you can't really grill.
That just didn't work. And so everything had to be planned so that we could be prepared, but then everything had to be able to be moved around in this massive puzzle piece constantly. And so, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it was just a different way of doing things, and it also meant that everything took more time.
I'm gonna break right there for because I want to say how awesome the RV community is.
Oh yeah.
Everybody talks about when you go to an RV park or whatever. That's just it's a different culture. It really is, and most everybody. And then, thankful. We're thankful for the internet. Well, one, because we wouldn't have recipes.crock.com, but then you can go to these forums. Like if you have a problem with something, you can go to these different forums where other people have had problems. Like we've got on our slide out on our Vibe. We've got this slide out that pops out about 3 feet, and we bought ours used. And so the folks that owned it before us, they put a lot of upgrades in it that didn't normally come with it. And the guy that was showing us around, he's like, yeah, this is an upgrade. That's an upgrade. And one of the upgrades, we had
no idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known anything.
No.
But he says that there's an awning that comes out with your slide out. It slides out and it comes out at an angle. And it's made there for, like if branches or leaves or whatever fall down on your slide, it keeps things out.
It's supposed to make your slide.
And it's just it's kind of like
it's like an awning,
like a blind on your window, the kind that you can pull up or down just by pulling on it, and it goes out and then it stays taut by just being pulled, and then it goes right back in. The problem is when the wind hits it, it loosens because the wind's stretching it out. And so we're laying there one night and this huge storm comes through and it dropped the temperature. It was freezing cold, but cold wasn't a problem. We stayed warm, but the problem was the wind was blowing this awning around and it sounded like somebody was jumping up and down on top of the roof. So we go on this forum.
Or that the whole trailer was going to take flight.
Yeah.
Like
it was like a small sail.
It was.
We go to this forum and, talking about, hey, my awning's flapping in the wind. It shouldn't be doing that. And it sounds like it sounds like a drum line on top of the roof.
Right.
And it was actually helping to shake this trailer that's supposed to be stable just because it kept picking it up on one side.
Right.
And somebody said, I've got this problem. What do I do? And other people have had these problems, and they jump in and they say, well, this is what I did to fix it. I cut out some foam pieces that fit, and it, you tie a piece of rope to it so you can pull it right out, and it stays in place, and it keeps the wind from flapping it around. So I go to
that was a godsend because then I could actually sleep at night.
I go to the Home Depot down there in Galveston, and I get some styrofoam and some duct tape and kind of measure and make these little foam pieces that fit just in place, under between the awning and the slide out. And it was great. And I wouldn't have known what to do if it weren't for those forums. So the RV community, they're so good about helping
not just
each other
those
out.
Forums, but then also, when you are at different places, you kind of get to know other people and find out where they've been and what they've done and all that kind of fun stuff too. So
they're nice people.
Yeah, it is. It's a really cool thing. But then it's also a whole nother cool thing to be able to bring our audience along and kind of like show all of that stuff. And I think in talking about, the good and the bad, I think we have a video that's going to be coming out where you show them you putting that together.
By putting the
foam pieces together.
I think so. I think I've got that footage. I don't know if it's going to make it or not because it was dark. So it pretty much, but
I think we talk about it at some point.
Well, yeah, we do talk about it.
We'll see what ends up in there. But
yeah, that's the thing. There was a lot of stuff, and that's another learning thing about this first big trip that we did is, I looking through the footage and putting the videos together, there was a lot more that I should have filmed. But you get so busy driving or
it's just kind of like what you were saying is it's not just doing the job. It's not just going to the places. It's recording it all. Yeah. And then it's also kind of just keeping it all in the front of your mind of what, we need to turn on the camera or, we need to like recap what's happened or those kinds of things. Because,
if I look at something like we went to the Rosenberg Library and I'm trying to put a video together of everything, but then you go there and to me, it was like really, like there was this one room that was just a big room full of quilts. and some of them are hundreds of years old. And I look at it and I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool. And then I go to film it, but then like looking at through the camera's like, this is the most boring video I could ever make.
There's a room of blankets.
Yeah, here's a room of blankets. You know, to be there and to actually see the history in person versus, and I don't know that I'm the greatest narrator because all I could say was, this is a wall of quilts. You know, so that's another.
We're working on it.
That's where we're learning, and I think the videos as the series goes through of us being in Texas will definitely get better.
Hopefully.
But I hope so. But the experience of it is
right,
second to none.
And yeah, and it's just fun, and it's like anything else. Like in order to get better at something, you gotta start somewhere. You just gotta dig in and start with it.
It's like I hope season 2 of the podcast is better than season 1.
Oh well, what are we gonna do during season 2?
Well, before we get to season 2, we're gonna talk about the end of season 1. We're gonna give you a little bonus. We're gonna give you one because we're done with our history lesson, and instead of giving you a pop quiz because y'all have been such good sports about this. The final episode that we'll give you is just going to be a little bonus feature, and probably won't be near as long as the others. Maybe we'll see. It depends. This will completely depend on Miss Cris, because for the longest time, I have been preparing a list of quotes.
Well, let's go back. So this whole podcast has been a little bit of a what am I trying to say? A break from like how, I mean, we're usually pretty lighthearted on a lot of things.
Yeah, we got real deep there.
We got heavy and deep and stuff.
Again, it was for you to get to know us better. Now, if you don't like us now because of all that, I'm sorry. But I don't think in the future that it's going to be near as like, hopefully, I mean, because we don't know what the future holds, but I don't see it getting heavy.
Yeah.
Like that.
So we thought we would end things on a really lighthearted note, or you did at least. So he's been taunting me with this file that he's been keeping on me. He's like literally got a file on his phone that he's been keeping on me.
Yep. It's just because it's too good, because there's so, you know how you hear somebody say something, they're like, oh, you said the funniest thing the other day. I just can't remember what it was. And there's probably hundreds of quotes that I could give you, but I just now started documenting these because the more I listened to them, they were just so good. So again, this isn't this episode. You're going to have to wait till the next episode, but we're going to give you an example.
What?
And I am going to randomly pull out a quote. And then
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it.
I'm going to randomly pull out a quote, and you have to explain the backstory behind it if you can remember. If not, I can help you because I remember these very well.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you...
But so this bonus episode, before you go there, is going to be you giving me random things that I've apparently said.
I'm gonna give. I've got I think I've got 22 quotes here.
I'm not sure,
but I'm only gonna give you one for now. But I think we'll do 10 in the next episode, and I'll let you look over the list.
Can we trust that these are genuine Cris certified quotes?
You said it, and I wrote it down. They're certified. Oh, Lord. I got to give one that I didn't describe already on here we go. You know what? Let's just do the latest one.
The latest
one? The latest one that I documented. It was today. I
Oh.
documented one today. And I'm going to say the quote.
Oh my goodness.
And you can do the explaining behind it.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to do this in my best Cris voice without getting flogged.
So it's going to sound like your mother. Uh-huh. Your mother voice. He uses the same voice for me and his mother, which I'm sure has all kinds of weird psychological meaning behind it. But
here we go with your example for a Cris quote. Uh-huh. This is a classic Cris quote.
Yes.
I think you may need to spend some time with Jesus. And if you keep talking like that, I might just have to send you straight to him. That was said to me right before we taped this podcast. Could you elaborate on that quote for me?
Well, there are times I. Let me see. 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 Let that stemmed from the fact that I had been working all day and you wanted to do something, and because I
wanted to do this,
you wanted to come and
tape
this podcast, and I also wanted to come and tape this podcast, but I had things I had to get done, and you kept picking at me because I wasn't doing the one thing that you needed done, and you weren't going to do anything else until you could do this. And so that's ultimately what kind of started it. And then somehow you had the vast wisdom to like try and lord over me with Bible verses and act as though God was on your side, and that that I needed to obey my husband and come do what he needed me to do.
And I can imagine right now, anybody listening to this, their jaws just dropped like, he said what?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you should send him to Jesus.
And so I think it all, and so anyhow, I had enough of you picking at me, and because it was not accomplishing the goal of getting me to the podcast any faster, because I had to get my stuff done. So I looked at you and I told you that if you were going to be quoting Bible verses, maybe you needed to go spend some more time with Jesus, and that I might assist in that matter.
You might arrange the meeting
if you did not leave me alone. So that was
pretty good. That was a pretty good explanation.
Yeah.
I wasn't throwing Bible quotes at you. You threw something at me. I can't remember what it you
because
said.
You hadn't done what you were supposed to do. And I
couldn't do because we had to finish the podcast.
And so, yeah. You were throwing around Bible verses. You like your go-to is obey your husband.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, you might want to expand your.
I think what the actual verse is, though, is that you're supposed to submit to your husband, and then I know there's people right now screaming at their audio device, whatever it is, or their TV, their computer, going, "Did you read the next part?"
Yes. Well, here's
Submit
the deal.
to your wife.
Here's the deal. This really, really wasn't about Bible verses.
No.
This was more or less about the fact that
I was trying to agitate you.
Like many, many, many times, you were when you want your way, you use agitation, which is like the wrong tool in the toolbox.
Fellas, if you're listening to this, don't do that. That's like the classic example.
And I'm not sure that this was a really good example of something fun to talk about.
It was so funny the way you said it, though. But that is a classic Cris quote that is now in my little compilation. So stay tuned for the bonus episode where we will go through about 10 of them, or however many we can fit in a podcast. But that's our little thanks for sticking with us through this first season. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
We thank you guys for tuning in on the podcast, for watching it on the channel. Hi, YouTube. Mm-hmm. Somebody just waved back. I waved at the camera. Somebody waved back, which is totally cool. I do it too. But we want to thank you guys. We hope that we've given you a good first season of As Good As It Gets, the podcast. We want to do more, and hopefully we will. We want your feedback on it for sure. So if you would email us, we'll give you our email addresses down in the description below, as well as in the show notes where you can reach us. And if you were wondering what about these recipes we keep bragging about, they're over at recipesthatcrock.com. That's my beautiful wife's cooking blog. Has right now, as of this podcast, probably at least 1,000, if not more than 1,000 recipes on there. So you got many things to choose from. We also want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/recipesthatcrock. Y'all are the ones making this possible. I've said it 8 times before. I'll say it again. You bought the microphones, you bought the booms. Without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. So hopefully we did you proud here. And this would be a good time for us to ask you, what do you want to hear about? What do you want to talk about? What questions do you have? Do you have any recipe questions? What do you think we should cook? How good looking am I today? Whatever y'all want to talk about, email us and let us know. That's Mikey at recipesthatcrock.com or Cris, Cris, at recipesthatcrock.com. At some point, I'm sure that in a podcast we'll have Aunt Lou on here as well, I hope. That is Aunt Lou, Aunt L-O-U, at recipes.crock.com. And just kind of let us know, because we're doing this for you, so let us know what you think of it.
And if you are watching over at YouTube and you'd like to skip ahead to the bonus audio file of whatever's about to transpire,
classic Cris quotes.
You can head on over there and we will give you that bonus track. You can find that in the rest of the entire first season of the podcast there, or you can tune in next week for the bonus track.
That's right. So until then, we'll leave you with Bob Ross saying bye. Say bye, Bob Ross. Cue the music.